Chris Newman here. The topic today is the language of Te Tiriti. I want to be very fair about this because language does have an emotional component. And I must say that I am a fan of the Maori language, and I'm a great fan of English as well. And I speak a little French and a little Spanish, and my home is bilingual Japanese and English. And I have lived and travelled among many other people from many other language groups. So I firmly am of the conviction that having the choice of two languages is a positive situation. However, we are going to look at this from a critical thinking perspective because at the moment, let's look at our red ink, the purpose of language is communication. But weaponized te reo equals newspeak like 1984. So we're saying that the weaponizing, the politicization of te reo is like a tyranny, a cultural tyranny. And it's very unfair to Maori folk to politicize the language, Maori language, and it's very unjust on the rest of the population that this be pushed on us, the Maorification of communication in New Zealand using taxpayers' money, and that is what's happening. Let us just compare the two languages from the viewpoint of communication because I think we need to have a good hard look at some facts. Now I'm going to take, my assistant is just passing me some books. So if you look at these, the statistics here, the comparison between English, which has about 400,000 words, and the modern Maori dictionary has about 26,000 words. It would be a bit like comparing, say, this book here would be an example of what te reo, and these two here would be kind of a symbol of the English dictionary, or even Japanese, which has a similar word count as English. So the modern languages from the modern civilized cultures, the high cultures, are extremely proficient at describing the world. And this narrow restricted te reo, thank you, served a wonderful function at a time of tribalism, at a time where there was, in New Zealand, in the islands here, as the same in all the Pacific Islands, there was an oral, means spoken, and oral, heard language, never written. Simple form, no alphabet, restricted sounds, very limited capability for the language to develop. And so modern Maori language is a kind of a pastiche of English and other words, and I'll explain what I mean. Here we just have a rough comparison between English and te reo. Now, the first Maori dictionary in 1845 had about 15,000 words, and that was very accurate compendium or collection of what was spoken in New Zealand at that time. And since then, about, let's say, another 8,000 words have been added to what they call te reo, Anglified, because most of those words have been taken from English. One of my favourites is takeaway, for takeaway. That's a little humour, thank you. So we know that te reo, the original te reo, plus adopting words like taone for town, and so on, many words like that, are Anglified. So te reo is pretty much now a subset of English. And look at what English has within it. I mean, these are just a sample of the topic headings which fit within a dictionary, modern English dictionary. I mean, literature, art, science, technology, culture, sports, architecture, engineering, religion, theology, anthropology, sociology, psychology, biology, taxonomy, logic, mathematics, geometry, calculus, algebra, and so on. I'm not denying the fact that te reo had its own value because the human mind is extremely creative but within the context of tribalism and a pre-modern existence, very restricted. And the English in comparison is written, and it has been for a long time, thousands of, well, possibly 2,500 years we've been writing in the English world. Oral, we have poetry, and oral, of course, because we know the sounds and we listen. It is both simple and complex. The alphabet is very flexible because it has the widest range of sounds. Again, I'm going to repeat, having the choice of two languages is a positive situation. However, what advantage is there in putting all of our investment in this first? In New Zealand, this is happening for a lot of young people. Children are being taught te reo, and they're not learning English at the level they need. In the real world, we need English. It's a beautiful tongue. It has tremendous capability, emotional, mental, technical, spiritual, you name it. It covers all the bases. Te reo has its own specialism, and it's particularly good in tribal relations, and there's a lot of descriptors that fit some conditions in New Zealand, for example, on the marae and so on. And also some of the words are quite colourful. Tui, a beautiful word for that bird, beautiful. But very limited. I mean, they didn't even have a word for pink, you know, and so on. So there's a whole lot of, the colour I mean, there's a whole lot of limitations that are there. And we just have to accept it. But let's not pretend, because this, in a way, is like comparing a little small lawnmower engine with a great big Rolls-Royce jet turbine. You know, the capabilities are just tremendous in here. But there's no harm in having a bit of that around, a bit of te reo. There's no harm in that at all. But it's not, again, to repeat ourselves, not weaponised, not politicised, please. It's a matter of choice, which means we don't need the state pushing taxpayers' dollars into keeping this thing on a life support system. It should stand or fall on people's personal, private choice of what they teach in their home. Same for anyone who's got, say, Japanese and English parentage or whatever, German or Italian, whatever, it's your choice. So I will stop at that point, but it is important to underline the fact that there is no real comparison, and English should be preeminent in every way and should help the student learn and gain entry to a much larger, richer, more full world than te reo could ever cover, simply because of its self-limiting characteristics. Thank you for listening to me. I do not intend to insult or offend anybody. I'm looking at the facts as they are, and the purpose of language is quite explicit. It's to help us communicate and understand each other better. Thank you.